Good morning. We're tracking breaking news out of Afghanistan, where the Pentagon confirms that the U.S. has suffered casualties after two explosions in Kabul at the airport. This comes after the U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan issued a warning on Wednesday about a possible terror attack, urging U.S. citizens to stay away from the airport.
Karen Kafa joins us live from Washington to update us with the latest information. Karen, thanks for being with us. Tell us what we know now about these two explosions. Bring us up to speed on who may be responsible.
Yeah, Carrie, what we have heard from the Pentagon so far is that there were two explosions at the Kabul airport, one at the Abbey Gate, which is one of those very crowded checkpoints where a number of Afghans have gathered outside in recent days trying to get in and get on one of those U.S. military aircraft out of the country. The other was at the nearby Barron Hotel, very close to the airport as well. What we are hearing now from intelligence officials here in the U.S. is that they do believe their initial assessment is that ISIS-K is responsible for that attack at the airport, but they are waiting to see if they can identify at least one of the suicide bombers involved in these attacks to see if they can make that connection. But Carrie, over recent days, we have heard from a number of Biden administration officials, including the president himself, that there was a possibility that ISIS-K could launch one of these attacks, not only because of their disdain for the United States, but also because of their disdain for the Taliban, Carrie.
So we've been watching, obviously, this video coming out of Afghanistan, even before these attacks, how many people have been cramming the gates around the airport. So I can't believe that there aren't more casualties than when we're hearing about out here. But what are you hearing as far as injuries?
It is still very early, Dan, and U.S. officials, especially the Defense Department, want to be very careful in terms of any numbers that they put on this, knowing that there are a number of Americans who know that their loved ones, their friends, their family are guarding that airport as members of the U.S. military. So the Defense Department is going to be very cautious in terms of addressing any estimates on numbers of U.S. military personnel, especially. We did get an estimate from the Taliban, which, of course, has not been confirmed by the U.S. They estimated 13 killed, 52 wounded, but you're absolutely right. Those images that we have seen out of Kabul over the last 10 days or so, we've seen those crowded checkpoints. There's only a handful of gates leading into the airport that the U.S. military has been trying to open at certain times to allow especially American citizens to come in. But the Afghan people who are desperate to get out of the country have been crowding those streets around the airport. Of course, anyone who wanted to launch any kind of nefarious attack was watching those images too. And so as the clock winds down, and again, we're talking not just days anymore to August 31st, we're talking about hours that the U.S. military and allies in that country have to wind down their operations. As the clock was ticking, it was a very attractive target for terror groups like ISIS-K. So very early in on this, still getting a lot of information from the ground, but you're absolutely right. This, no matter how many people are killed, no matter how many casualties, certainly a tragic situation as this operation comes to an end point.
All right, Karen Kafa reporting live for us from Washington. Thanks for the update. Utah Senator Mitt Romney reacted to the news in Afghanistan by tweeting, quote, "Horrific terrorist attacks outside Kabul airport. My heart breaks for the U.S. service members wounded in the explosion and the innocent Afghan lives lost. I am inspired by the strength and compassion of our troops and pray for their safety." Utah Senator Mike Lee also reacting by tweeting, quote, "God bless our troops, especially those in harm's way in Afghanistan. This botched withdrawal and its effects are the worst kind of tragedy, one that was avoidable. Nevertheless, our men and women in uniform do their duty." And Utah Representative Burgess Owens reacted by tweeting, quote, "Please pray for our soldiers and citizens in Afghanistan as well as our Afghan allies. This is heartbreaking."